Well, hello. Cracking day for an update on Project Rover. So, I'll put a little clip that I did last week when I finished off the cam belt tensioner, and I did just change the tensioner, and it's all back together. It's exactly as it was before, but with no horrible noise, and it's running beautifully. Oh, here we go. We've got a new tensioner on it. Down there. All of the original timing marks are line. I've turned it over. It doesn't appear to hit anything, but the marks I made on the belt suddenly seem to be about, I don't know, 7 or 8 teeth out, but the belt's tensioned, so I don't know how that could have happened. So what I'm going to do is just start it, and it's either going to go bang and I'm going to call the scrap man who'll come take it away, or it will start and I'll put it back together. So as you can tell, I'm slightly nervous. I haven't done this properly at all. This is the most stupid of fixes, but here we go. It's working. It's fucking working. It's good enough for me. I'm gonna put it back together. So the next job is, if I can touch it, I've got a track rod end, because the one on the driver's side, which is the offside, is knocking like hell. The one on the passenger side isn't at the moment, so I'm just going to change one in the spirit of not spending too much money. And yeah, it's just a really enjoyable thing to have. I really like it, and I'm not sure this video series is going to go very far because there's really not an awful lot wrong with it. I'm hoping this will be the only thing I change. So yeah, join me in a few minutes when I'll have the car in the air, and I'll do a little time lapse of changing a track rod end, which, yeah, if you all switch off, I won't blame you because it will be quite dull. Here's the offending joint. That one's loose. So, I've never really had to do this before. Change the steering arm without then getting a full setup. So I'm on a learning curve with this, so I'm just going to mark with paint where that is, but we might not need that. There's many different ways of doing this. You can either count the turns out or mark the rod. So I'm going to, how does that undo that way? Oh, you bugger. Right, so let's leave that snug, and then what we'll do is we'll just come up to it. So these, I hope you can see that, yeah, these are always best dealt with a big gun, because it just shocks them off. And hopefully we shouldn't have any problems. Beauty. Came straight off. And then give it a lump. Oh, didn't even need my splitting tool. So now what we have to do is just, well, we can twist this off by hand, but it's taking the lock nut with it. Right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 13, 14, nearly 15 before it fell off. So let's check. I didn't skim either, I went for a Delphi one. You know, that costs £30 from the local motor factor. I didn't mind paying a little bit more because I could just walk in and buy it. They're the same. They're the same there, so that's all good. On eBay for the same price you could have got 2 and 2 drop links, but you know, the tensioner, I know I skimped on the cam belt, but I did actually put an MG Rover tensioner on it. So right, let's count this up. Shall I put some, yeah, I'm going to put some copper slip on that. Top tip for any motor mechanics at home, don't buy the spray. It's just, it fools you into thinking it's more convenient, but it's not as good as the brush on stuff. Right, so we're engaged. So 1, 2, 3, 14, and it's not quite there, but 15 came up perfectly. So I'm going to go with 15 because it was nearly 15, wasn't it, when it came off, and I might have not got it engaged quite right, possibly. I don't know, if it's massively out, I can just jack it up and take one turn off it, can't I? This is looking like it possibly going to be the easiest job in all of Christendom. That does seem a little bit small, but I suppose that shaft will get drawn up, yeah, like so. There's no washer or anything, that does seem odd. Put the socket on the nut before pressing the gun. Obviously it's a different size. It's in between, it's an 18. What the fuck? God, I don't know, can you see that? Yeah, I've left the old one in there, that's why it wouldn't go on. You stupid boy. Hey. Hey. Right. Whack that up. Tighten off the lock nut, and that is that's job done. That was really quick. Don't know why, I was expecting much more of a fight. But oh. Well, there we go. There is one more job to do, and I have a brake warning lamp on, and it wasn't coming from the front, so it is the rears. So I'm going to, I think I might be able to, sorry if you got a face full of my mug shot then, camera full of my mug, sorry. This stuff is shit. I bought this hoping that it was just going to make my life easier, and it bloody well hasn't. You got to get a look at this. Fucking hell, hasn't been cleaned in a while, has it? But, a little bit of a surface rust, but ball joints look good. Shock doesn't appear to be leaking. It's still got a cover and a bump stop. The brake discs from the front look horrible, so God only knows what they look like from the back. But there is plenty of meat on those, so I'm going to modify the cable to hopefully take the warning light away, and yeah, I'll do it in such a way that if I then want to reinstate it, oh my God, look, fucking hell, it'll be easily doable. There's a little bit of rust there on that fuel tank strap. I will investigate those online and see if they're a problem. Got a new rear silencer. Midsection looks a bit crusty, but nothing really to worry about. So I'll go and get my box of electrics and we'll get this sensor sorted. So I'm going to go and test this now and then if that works, it's all the Rover jobs are done for the day. We'll be on to finishing the Elan, which has got its headlights and gearbox oil, and then that's ready for its tour next week. So, brake pads low. I've heard apparently it takes 25 seconds. According to Danny DC2, I would say fellow YouTuber, but he's actually a proper YouTuber. Bollocks. See, that is plugged in. I might just bridge it here, and because I mean this is broken anyway, it's old and knackered. I'm going to bridge it here, and if that doesn't work, I'm probably going to give up for the time being. Alright, moment of truth. Yeah boy, the connector was broken on the front one, so I bypassed it upstream of the connector, and that solved the problem. So the brakes are in good nick. We've done the track rod end, so I'm just going to give the glass a bit of a clean, because that always makes every car better. I can't stand these disgusting tide marks on the windows. And then yeah, that's the Rover sort of ready for hopefully lots more service. So yeah, sorry there's no like major fuck ups or calamities to sort out. It's a relative, I have to shut the door, I need to open the bonnet. I did want to actually, I'm sorry about any wind noise, I did want to speak about the cam belt, because essentially on the KV6 in these, you've got to remove engine mounts, engine cover plates. I refitted it all in about 2 hours, and a lot of people say it's a pain in the arse and it's a horrible job, but it actually isn't. You know, everything's accessible fairly methodically. You take one layer off, the next layer presents itself. Apart from, and I did a proper horrible fix on it, I don't know, it's under there. Apart from where the oil cooler bolts onto the cam cover plate, I had to grind 2 nuts off, 2 bolts off, sorry. It was a really easy job. Everything just came off. It was just like Big Meccano. There was nothing that was really inaccessible. A few things were tight, but compared to like Range Rovers and Lotuses and stuff, it's a nice thing to work on. I wouldn't hesitate doing the cam belt, which I did all of the work for, but none of the actual cam belt changing. There are 2 at the back of the heads, so the inlet manifold would have to come off, but I'd imagine that's just another 40 minutes work. So yeah, I like it. Good car to work on. Right, see how it feels with the new track rod. Hasn't blown up yet. Ugh, I would have filmed this on my iPhone head mount, but fuck knows where it's gone. So you get to look at me in all my late 30s trying to still look young with a baseball cap glory. So first test, I mean it's a little bit groany, but the knock's gone. It used to knock quite badly. Oh, this is lovely. Whew. Just gonna take it down the road, just check that it's not pulling wildly to one side or another. Sorry, officer. I mean, it's going to be better because I'll do that window up. I'll turn my climate control on. Obviously, because in luxury executive vehicle. It's going to be better because there's no play in the joint anymore, so the steering won't be just doing whatever it feels like. Or oh yeah, oh well, I mean, as far as how much was that joint? I think it was like 34 pounds, whatever it was. I should have asked for discount, but sometimes you just can't be bothered. And then I'll be able to check the timestamps on my video for how long it took me. But I'd say from basically walking to the garage to do the job. Was that a knock? From walking into the garage to do the job to like having it done, couldn't have been more than 20 minutes. I mean, it was literally, and I know I slackened the tie rod steering. What the hell are they called? Yeah, I did slacken it off last week, but still it popped out really easily. I suspect that's because it's not that old and it was a really cheap part and it had failed quite quickly. But you often see it's the near side that fails faster because they spend more time in potholes than the middle of the road, which is generally a better nick. Okay, there's still some sort of knocking going on, but it's much fainter than it was before, and I imagine that is because it was something else that was knocking before. But the ball joint it's fine, and I have just taken this down the roughest bit of road that I know that's fairly local to my house. If you've watched my Elan videos, on my driving one, I drove down it, and although the suspension handles that well, bloody hell, that thing rattles around. Those old boys in the pub watching me in my Wedgwood Blue Rover, living the dream. Yeah, I just love this car. I drove my business partner's. He's got a very cool collection of various machines. One of them being a very, very mint one owner, well, he's the second owner, W202 Mercedes C180, which is, what options has it got on it? It's got electric front windows, a radio. I think that's it. And it's just a lovely thing to drive, you know, back when Mercedes made cars for people to own for a generation and replace when they wore out 20 years later. The gentleman who bought it didn't wear it out, but he did have it for 25 years and then he died, which is when Stuart got it. And that is a lot more solid than this car, a lot more solid. It's really quite fabulous, but you know, you're looking at 2 or 3 times the price of this to get in one of those. But that was back just when Mercedes were still doing what they did best. You can feel some of the cheapness creeping in with the plastics, but on the whole, you know, the suspension feels like it's made for a car 3 times the weight. You know, it's just thoroughly over engineered, which is great. Whereas this, you can feel it is a bit flaky, but you know, on smooth roads it's great. But yeah, we've got no brake warning light. We have got a car that goes in the direction I want it to go in, so I think you see it is pulling off to the left, but it was doing that before. And that's what am I doing, 35 miles an hour, and that took, you know, quite a few seconds for it to veer over to the other side, so I may see if I can do a cheap tracking fix on it. I don't want to have to pay for anything, but we'll see. But yeah, other than just keep, I'll tell you what I am going to do. The fuel filler cap is filthy and I can't stand it. I hate mucky fuel filler caps, so I'm going to get the hose out and give that a clean and make sure that's immaculate. And then I'll probably do the door shuts as well. Oh, just ran past the Mitsubishi FTO with what looks like a veal side spoiler on the back. Yeah, nice. I remember the last time I saw one of them. So yeah, just going to give a few of the tricky bits a clean, and then I'll just take it to the Polish polish to give it a clean. I don't clean cars. Drive past my Mini. I don't clean cars, I just don't start doing it. And I'm not so precious that my cars need. Oh, you see how clean the back of the wheel is now? I'm not so precious that I like detailed cars, but mine will never be that. So yeah, I'm going to do those bits that they wouldn't, and I do like my windscreen to be clear. And then yeah, nothing else to do on it. Tyre pressures, but my Amazon tyre pressure gauge broke, so it still works, you just can't, the digital display stopped working, so you don't know what it's reading. So yeah, it's done. I will update it next time it needs anything doing to it, or maybe I'll just do an update every end of month with a cost, you know, what it's doing in fuel over what the Mini would have done, which has done a long-term average over 16,000 miles of 52. So I'll play them against each other, and obviously take into account the Mini would be costing me £185 a month to finance. This isn't. And just see how close it works out to a modern car, in case anyone's interested. Yeah, so check this out. I mean, I get people don't like clean cars, but you know, you put your hands in here